Alright, this is the start of the Excel module, so we'll take a look at the Excel module 1 SAM textbook project. So this is the very beginning of it, and if we open up the file provided by Cengage, I'm going to click Enable Editing. And again, it's a blank Excel worksheet. We're going to follow the steps and enter data. A good point here is at the beginning of these assignments, especially for the textbook assignments, if you look at the very beginning, they show you what it should look like at the end. So if you open this up, you can eyeball it and take a look to see what it looks like. Same for this graphic image we're going to put in representing our data. We're going to do a pie chart. So those are always good to come back and look for at the end to make sure you're on the right track. So we'll be using the Excel spreadsheet we specifically downloaded from Cengage. So read the beginning of it. I'm going to skip over that. I think it's really good how they describe everything, but on 1.4a is where they start actually having us start typing in information. So again, A1, we're going to go to cell A1, we're going to click, and we're going to type in Fran Gold real estate budget. Okay, now I've got it typed in. You'll see up here, you'll see it. So I could either hit enter or I can click this check mark, and that does the same thing. And notice it goes into B1 and C1, but it really doesn't. If I clicked on B1, it's only in A1. It's just because the text is long. If I type something in here, you would see it's just in that one cell. So that is the beginning. Next up, they tell us to go to A2, and they want us to type in monthly estimates. And this time I will hit enter instead of doing the check mark. On this next part, we got a lot of typing to do. So as you can see on A3, we're going to type in income, doing the right arrow, then typing January, February, March, and so forth. Now if you make a typo as you go, just click in the cell, and what you do is come up here and click in this formula bar, and then you can change it to whatever you need to. Then click the check mark. And then as you can see here, I typed in expenses, January, February, March, April, and so forth, and total at the end. And starting at A8 and going across. Next part, I'm going to go to A4, so I'm going to click on the A4 cell, type in commission, and then A5's interest, total, rent, then go to A9, utilities, advertising, and so forth. So it'll look like this at the end. So after typing it in, do a double check. Make sure you line up. Notice A7 is blank. Notice A18 is blank, then net and A19. So just do a double check, make sure you don't have any typos. Next up, we've got a whole bunch of data to enter. So if you look up here in B4, we start with 12,000. Type in all these numbers, and then we continue on with this. So just be careful, do a double check at the end to make sure you've got accuracy or your totals will be incorrect. Alright, now that we have our data entered, we're going to start doing some sums with formulas. So the first step is we're going to auto sum. So you click on B6, make it the active cell, click on auto sum, and it's going to ask me, is this what I'm talking about? B4 colon B5, meaning do I want to add B4 through B5? And that is what I want to do, so I'll click the check mark. And we can double check again by seeing if it's 12,100. Then it said go to B17, make it the active cell, do the same thing, auto sum. Is that what I want to add together? It is, which is B9 colon B16. So what the difference is, what the story here is saying B9 through B16 inclusive. If it was B9 comma B16, it would be just B9 in the B16 cell. But you can see the moving highlight here, and that indicates what's going to be added. So I'll click the check mark to confirm. And what they point out here is if we're going to go total February, we could do the same thing. Auto sum, sum, boom, check mark, and we'd have it done. But one of the cool things with relative cell references is if this one is correct and it's B4 plus B5, if I copy this to February, we're saying C4 to C5 is going to work. So here is a fill handle, bottom right hand corner, you see that darkened square. If I move my mouse pointer over it, left click, hold it down, and drag it across. Let it go, and you see it auto puts the formula in. If I click on each one, E4 plus E5, D4 to D5, makes your life real easy. So then I'll do the same thing going across here, because these are relative cell references. So on 17B, we're going to calculate multiple totals at the same time. So they say click on N4, and we're going to drag down to N6. So the range is selected, it'll look just like that. And then we'll click the auto sum. Then we're going to do the same thing on N9 through N17. And again, if the first one's right, notice they're contiguous cells. When we do the auto sum, it'll do them all at the same time. We also can do very complex formulas, and here's a couple simple ones. Average, max, and min. So average is going to look at H1 through H5 inclusive and see what is the average of those 5 cells. Maximum is going to say which one's the highest number in H1 to H5, and minimum is going to do the lowest in H1 to H5. All right, so I'm going to click on B19, then I'm going to type in equals. That lets Excel know I'm going to type in a formula. Then I'm going to take B6, and then I'm going to subtract whatever the contents of B17 is into that B19 to get the total. And you can see once I get it typed in, it'll have them highlighted. And then you just click the check mark to confirm it. And again, once we have the formula correct, the easiest way to do this, so if I look on here, if this one is B6 minus B17, if I use the fill handle to drag across, notice I get that cross, it's going to do the same thing, that 12,100 minus 2775 and so forth. So let's do that. And they say now it's a good time to save, so I'm going to do exactly what they say here. I'm going to click File, Save As, and type in Frangold Real Estate Budget into the folder I already have started. And once I type it in, then I'll click Save. Now the fun part, we're going to format the worksheet. This is what was started with, unformatted, and this is what it's going to look like at the end. So change the font style, insert the font size, increase the font size, change the font color of A1 and A2, center the worksheet title, format the body of the worksheet, and so forth. So we're going to go to A1 and go to the Styles gallery, Cell Styles, and find Title. So click on A1, find Cell Styles, find Title, and click. Next up, we're going to click on A2, change the font to Arial Narrow. Click the drop down. Now we're going to bold A1 and A2, so click on A1, click bold, go to A2, and click bold. And again, notice you can know what you're doing. If I click on A1, Calibri Light 18 bold. If I click on A2, Arial Narrow 11 bold. Next up, we're going to make A2 16-point font, so just click the drop down, change it to 16. So now we're going to change the font color, click back on A1, hover, find the font color, go to the drop down, green, accent 6, and click. Next up, we're going to merge and center the row 1 and 2. So if I left click once, drag it across to N, then if we find this merge and center button, click it, and then do the same thing on A2, drag to N, merge and center. I also believe this A2 is supposed to be that same color. So click on A3, and we're going to left click, hold it down, and go to N3. And what they want us to do here is go to the Home group, Styles group, Heading 1 under Titles and Heading. They also want it centered. So while it's still selected, come over and we are aligned left, click on Center Aligned. Next up, we going to select A8 through N8 and do Heading 1 again. Next, we're going to format A6 through N6 and A17 through N17 with the total cell style. So again, select what you want to adjust. A6 through N6, cell styles, find total, click it, and then do the same thing. So click on A19, left click, drag across to N19, and we're going to go with the accent 6 cell style. So on here, we're going to format A4 through N4, A9 to N9, and so forth with the 20% accent 6. So what you can do is either do it individually, so A4 through N4, and you could hold the control key and do A9 to N9, A11 through N11, A13, A15. You can see that's every other. And that is accent 620, so cell styles, accent 620.